When I was at Bristol University as a student in England, I had a friend whose father worked for BP, British Petroleum, in Iran, in Persia. He invited me to spend the summer vacation in Tehran, and one day we went for a stroll around the Shuk, the market. It was about as far from Bristol as you could get. We moved from one small shop to another, the scent of spices wafting through the air. In one shop, my eye was drawn by a beautiful banjo-like instrument called a tar. The tar is a traditional Persian instrument, and the back of the body of this tar was covered with the most beautiful Persian miniatures of hunting scenes. The owner saw my interest and he took down the tar from the shelf and he put it in my hands. Close up, it was even more beautiful. I asked my friend to ask him in Farsi how much it was. He wanted a king's ransom. Now, in the Middle East, there's no such thing as a price tag, so I countered with the closest thing to a reasonable offer that my American Express travel checks would allow. He looked at me as though the cat had just brought me in, took the tar from my hands and put it back on the shelf. I shrugged my shoulders and carried on browsing around the shop. In the corner, I saw a small ceramic plate with a Hebrew inscription on it. "Hey," I said to my friend, "I can read this." It says, "Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad." Before I'd finished the sentence, the owner of the shop had spun round, said to my friend in Farsi, "Are you Jewish?" "No," he said, "but he is." The store owner walked over to me, looked at me, put out his hand, and said with a big smile, "Shalom Aleichem." "Aleichem HaShalom," I said back to him. And there we stood, our hands locked in an ancient kindred spirit, not being able to speak one single word of the language of the other. I just looked at him and he looked at me. Then he went over to the tar, brought it down, put it in my hands and said to my friend, "Tell him he can have it for the price he offered." Two Jews from the ends of the earth. I doubt that two Protestants, two Catholics, two Muslims, or two Hindus would have had that moment of contact that I shared in Tehran with that storekeeper. It says in this week's Torah reading, "From every man whose heart motivates him shall you take my portion." The Mishkan, the tabernacle, was the expression of the motivation of the heart of the Jewish people. It says in Devarim in Deuteronomy, "For God's portion is his people." The connection that one Jew feels for another across the oceans, across cultures, is the expression of being God's portion, so to speak, in this world. And just as he is one, so we are one.